So today I'm at the Harrietville Dredge hole. Just about to cool off quickly before catching up with a local historian, Andrew Swift, also known as Swifty.
We're not getting very far, are we, Stan?
No. Who's going to teach me a little bit more about the area. Oh, so refreshing. Just a word of warning, the dredge hole gets deep very quickly and there's no banks, so make sure you can swim before you jump in.
So when you come to Harrietville, you can do the big walks like that get you into the high country, or you can do the shorter walks like this riverside walk. Some people like to, hike up to Hotham, or they jump along the Razorback and then come down Bungalow Spur. 150 years ago, there would have been streams of miners, Chinese and European miners, heading up the Bonnecourt track.
Swifty's just told me that it used to be used by Indigenous tribes as a passage into the high country, and then when squatters and the gold miners came through, it started to be used, I guess, as a bit of a trade route and a means of getting up into the mountains. Local history hasn't been my strong point, and my generation maybe isn't as interested in history as our grandparents or parents. But seeing Swifty's passion for Harrietville, it's hard not to catch his enthusiasm. Oh yeah, go tell me.
50 years ago, Stan, you can imagine the Chinese miners on these flagstone steps accessing the centre of their camp and their communal kitchens. So, they would have been ferrying up here on their way to work up in the Black Hole in the East Branch Ovens River. At the end of the day, coming back down to the communal kitchen, and the archaeologists have found a gaming den where they smoked opium, and in another building they found domestic stuff like sewing needles and scissors and things like that, where the Chinese miners slept and might have repaired their clothes and stuff.
It's pretty amazing just imagining what it would have been like 150 years ago, and you just wouldn't know, unless someone told you or you looked it up. And I'd highly recommend getting one of these. I've already learned a lot. Harrietville is definitely one of the more picturesque mountain villages I've been to, but the more we walk around it, the more I'm noticing all of the tributes to the past. So we're heading out towards the dredge hole, which I'm looking forward to learning a bit about. I've got some unanswered questions about its depth and a few other things.
This is probably some of the prettier walks in the Harrietville Track and Trail network around the dredge hole. This is a feature that was made by a big floating barge that churned up the old river streams to extract the gold during the 1940s. And it had this revolving ladder of buckets that would gouge into the gold-bearing gravels and bring the material up on board. Then they invented this thing, which is about 5 times bigger. This is a Trono dredge, and these are the earlier dredges. So they could only dredge to 40 foot deep, but the Trono dredge could dredge up to 120 feet deep, so it could access a lot more gold-bearing gravels. And this is where it turned around. If you were here during the 40s, it would have just been a horrible, ugly moonscape of tailings and stuff. But the Harrietville community over the last few decades have turned it into a great community asset and a really good swimming hole too.
The last stop in my Harrietville walking tour is back into the centre of the village, where the community has set up its own museum, documenting a lot of the local history. It's so cool just wandering around in here and having a look at all these little bits and pieces, and it just gives you so much more of an appreciation for the area as well. Harrietville's a pretty awesome place to base if you're into hiking. The historic walks are a real eye-opener to the past, and if you're doing some of the more advanced overnight hikes, it's a great place to start or finish your trip.
If you come here on a full moonlit night, Stan, at a certain alignment of the stars, the ghost of the Trono dredge actually emerges from here.
I've heard that.
And you can hear the screeching of the chain band, the bucket band as it's going around extracting that 50,000 ounces of gold, driven by a pirate crew.